Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, starts now. This is the broadcast for July the 30th in the year of our Lord 2025. This is hour one of two. The goal always to protect life, liberty, and property, to promote God, family, and country, using the supreme law of the land, the Constitution for the United States of America. Yeah, the checks and balances are designed to chain down those who seek for too much power. We, the people, have the checks and balances at our fingertips as one of the great peaceful restorative solutions today. It's also interesting to note we reject revolution. We stand for peaceful restoration of the greatest country on the face of the earth. James Edwards with me. ThePoliticalCesspool.org is his weekend barn burner talk show. Does a great job. He's also an author of Racism, Schmacism. Book ought to be updated with all the modern examples, etc. It would almost turn it into a comic relief scenario, because when he spoke it was legendary. It was innovative. It was real. It was raw. Nobody had the guts to say it. Now everybody admits it. Everybody realizes the fact. The term racist or whatever has been so overused that it's clown show style now. So you got to update your book and turn it into kind of a comedy book. James, welcome.
Sam, it is great to be back with you, and it seems like we haven't talked on the radio at least in a month of Sundays. You know how busy we can get here at this network, Sam, with travel and special projects, and so I think I've missed the last couple of regularly scheduled appearances on the roundtable here, but it's great to be back. And yeah, we'd need a small forest to update that book with all the paper it would take. But you know, you're right. I mean, it is something. And as I was listening to your very kind and courteous words, it made me think that you just go back to when that book was released in 2010, which was, only 15 years ago. A lot has changed in that period of time. 15 years ago can be at once, quite a long time. And in terms of cultural shifts and changes, not very long. And 15 years ago, nobody was talking about these things. Now, the entire MAGA tier media universe is talking about it. Charlie Kirk and all these people, nobody would have touched it 15 years ago. So things do change. Change does occur, and we've been a part of it, documenting it here for a long, long time on this network.
Well, let's be very clear. Not only have we been part of it, but we've been some of the leaders of it, though. The things we said before people were afraid of, now they're literally parroting our same talking points. We haven't changed. We've just dug deep and been truth tellers for a long time. But it's interesting to me how they're literally using the same phrasing, the same points that you and I have been making for literally decades, James.
Well, that's right, Sam. And I'll tell you another thing, the way things change. You're talking about being in the middle of it for so long here with this network sort of being a hub or a nexus, if you will. And you know where I'm going with that. I mean, you go back 15 years and everybody would run scared like scalded dogs. I mean, there isn't anything they wouldn't denounce. It was,
I'd just throw it down,
No principle, no friend, nothing they believed in they wouldn't back away from if an organization like the Southern Poverty Law Center came after them. And, of course, the Southern Poverty Law Center sent a letter to Congress calling you and I collectively the nexus of this whole whatever they were describing our viewpoints to be, anti-government or whatever. And, of course, we never flinched and never backed down. And now it just goes to show, I mean, I can remember anybody that was so-called conservative back when when I first went on the air 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Everybody would do anything it could to sort of placate or dampen any sort of hit that was coming out from these left-wing hate groups like the ADL and the SPLC. And now, and we didn't, but now you have people outright soliciting their endorsement because you haven't sort of arrived as someone who should be taken seriously. You don't have street cred, so to speak, if you're not being attacked by these groups. So it's gone from that to where we are now. And I mean, seriously, if you don't get attacked by these people now, people won't even consider supporting you. Things have really changed a lot now that and I didn't intend to talk about this today, but it really has.
We've been at the center of and the leadership of that change. Now, what's funny is when Rolling Stone magazine interviewed me before they tried to create the takeout hit piece on me, which is pretty comical because it's backfiring as well. It turns out their leader was a flat-out racist and a sexist, and he got all caught, and I put that in the face of the reporter and said, you need to quit and quit taking filthy money. And anyway, we had this big kind of battle back and forth. You know, I said in that interview, I said, you know, I'm winning the race. And he got all whipped around the axle going, what do you mean you're winning the race? Do you think because you're white, you're... And I said, first off, I don't even know if I'm white. Okay? But secondly, let's talk about what's important. Why am I winning the race? Because I'm first when it comes to telling the truth. I'm first when it comes to honesty in the media. I'm winning the race. And this last 15 years, everybody coming to our table and asking for a seat at the table proves I'm winning the race, James. And so are you. And so they take it out of context and want to turn it into some, weird sideshow. But the fact is I'm winning the race because I've been telling the truth the whole time, and now y'all are coming to the table. I find it fascinating. And pretty soon, these other people are going to be forced to come to the table. It's going to go on and on and on and on. Anyway, any thoughts about that? But I'm winning the race, James. I am.
Yeah, I remember... I remember that. Folks, you got to look that up. That was right around Christmas time in 2023, late fall, early winter. And when Rolling Stone was coming after Sam and his work on this network and his associations. And of course, they were calling him a racist. That's what they do with everybody they don't. That was a big part of the book. If they disagree with you, they're just going to call you a racist to get you to abandon the field. But Sam, if you've never watched Sam work with a so-called journalist, you're just missing out on one of the great joys in life. But, I mean, he just twists them up. He frustrates them. He asks them questions as if he's interviewing them. And of course,
like,
they don't
wait
like
a
that.
minute, I'm the one asking questions here, I said.
Well,
not when you're talking to me or not. I ask as many questions as I want. And you understand that since I'm a hardcore journalist, radio commentator, broadcaster, whatever you want to call me, I'm asking you the questions. And the guy's like, that's not the way it's supposed to work. And I said, if that's the way it's supposed to work when you're interviewing me and I'm interviewing you at the same time, you've never had that happen before. See, nobody else can punch back. Nobody else can lay down the truth. Nobody else can tell and blow the whistle like I can, buddy. And I'm asking you questions. And when you refuse to answer, it just goes to show where you hang your hat. Right?
Well,
let's bring it. And that's the deal, James.
It is, Sam, and I'll tell you this. One thing behind the scenes. But Sam did bring that up. He was saying, well, you've got a problem with me saying this or James saying that. What about the founder of your magazine? And the reporter would say something. Well, we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about you. And he's like, well, how can you attack us for saying things? You're the guy who's made your magazine, the guy who's responsible for your paycheck has said more than that. And then, but of course that didn't go anywhere. And then they asked, well, what do you think about? Are you a racist? And Sam said, well, of course I'm winning the race. It's just that they don't know what to do. But I'll tell you, there's not much.
I'm winning the race. It's truth telling, people. The truth is that we're all God's children. And the truth is they want to use race to divide and conquer. And they truly want to use race against the whites in an effort to shut us down and eventually kick us out of the public square. Not going to happen on my watch.
Well, and I'll tell you this about that. At this point, and they would do it to anyone, but it's just such an effective shakedown technique. It's just, you can get just about anything you could get just about anything you wanted out of a guy for calling him a racist. You could get him to abandon the field. You could ruin his life. Now it really just comes down to, are you going to commit any unforced errors? Because things have shifted so much now, as I said before. Really, you don't have any sort of, if you're in media now on the right of center media, if you're not being attacked by these people, you have no credibility. People seek out the folks that have been at this point. And again, people almost solicit these attacks just so they can put it in their bio. But at this point, it really just comes down to unforced errors. Are you going to fall on your sword if and when the media attacks? And if you do, they'd love to have your sacrifice. But if you don't,
double down,
you're going to win.
Put it in your face and spar with the best of them. Well, everybody's getting attacked. Sydney Sweeney at the top of the list. Do you know this person, James?
I do know who she is, and I have followed this story with interest the last couple of days.
All right, headline just so everybody understands it. Didn't you have her on an interview?
I didn't have her on. We did have a Victoria's Secret model by the name of Kylie Basutti, who I would put on par with Sydney Sweeney in terms of her genes, if you know what I'm talking about.
There you go. All right. Speaking of genes, so now there's a controversial advertisement out for American Eagle, ladies and gentlemen, launched on July the 23rd, where Sweeney, it's under the tagline, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. And the ads featuring kind of a wordplay on jeans and jeans. It sparked backlash on social media, claiming that it promotes white supremacy. So wait a minute. Now American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney, racist? James and I get to sit back and smirk a little bit, don't we? We'll talk about it on your radio.
Scott Bradley here. Most Americans are painfully aware that the nation is on the wrong track and in dire straits. Unfortunately, most political pundits only nibble around the edges when they claim to address the issues. Even worse, many of the so-called solutions are simply rewarmed servings of what got us into the mess we currently face. And the politicians think we're so gullible and naive that we'll buy their lies that they have reformed, and now understand where they led us astray. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that they simply wish to continue to hold power. The solution to America's challenges is found in returning to the timeless principles found in the United States Constitution. My book and lecture series will reawaken in Americans an understanding and love of the principles which made this nation the freest, most prosperous, happiest, and most respected nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com and order my book and lectures to begin the restoration of this great nation.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcast at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bushman, James Edwards, breaking down news the networks refuse to use just for you, ladies and gentlemen. So we're talking about Sydney Sweeney. They got a commercial out, American Eagle, where she's in jeans, and they say, hey, she's got great jeans. And what's interesting about this is severalfold. One, they want you to believe that Sydney Sweeney is a racist. So is American Eagle. It goes back to the American eugenics movement. How dare they do this? The ad featuring the wordplay they all claim is Nazi, white supremacy, crazy. Well, the advertisement showcases Sweeney in a series of sexualized posts, or poses, if you will, reflecting a long-standing tradition of using women to sell products. Now, I'm not really a fan of sexualizing things, okay? I mean, I get it, and I don't go there. But what I find fascinating is, where's the Me Too movement to talk about the sexualization of this? Hey, how dare you sexualize women? How dare you, whatever. They're strangely silent. However, the accusations of racism are all across the mainstream press. They're losing their minds, James.
I have followed this story for the last couple of days with great interest. It's a juicy story, and then, of course, you've got the visuals to go with it. But Sydney Sweeney, of course, for anyone who doesn't follow vapid celebrities, I'm not saying she's vapid, but just the whole celebrity culture. But Sydney Sweeney is a 27-year-old actress. She's appeared in some major movies and television programs. I mean, she is an A-lister, no doubt about it. She's, of course, a model in addition
She's
to that.
She's almost as
because
popular as we are, James.
in her world, Sam, relatively speaking.
I'm just telling you, if we're the nexus of hate and anti-government in America, according to Congress and the Southern Poverty Law Center, I mean, who can take a crown like that, buddy?
Right. I mean, she would be the equivalent, I guess you
yeah,
say.
There you go.
But
right.
she's
gaining on the world,
Oh, no doubt about it. Well, listen, I mean, the world is your oyster when you look like that. And she's 27. She is absolutely beautiful. She's an all-perfect 10. I mean, she really is. And she's got this long, flowing blonde hair, which is featured in this American Eagle.
And that's part of the reason they say she's racist. Blonde hair, blue eyes, talking about her genes. The double meaning is, hey, she's got good, DNA and everything else. How dare you make such a racist master race claim in your ads? And they go on and on and on. To me, this is very simple, James. It was a joke. It was not designed to be racist. It was designed to get interest and sell products, and boy, howdy, did it work.
Well, this has been going on in the fashion industry for a long time. I mean, you go back. I mean, it was even outright stated that they looked for these, beautiful young white people. What was it? Oh my! What was the big brand back in the 90s? Abercrombie and Fitch. That was one that they really came down on because, God forbid you want attractive models to, fashion your clothes. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Now, Target goes a different way. If you go into Target, they have all of these obese, people running the color spectrum that are just, gross to look at. I mean, you want to see if you're selling something. I mean, why do they pick, fit men and beautiful women as models? I mean, because that is the ideal. It just is. I mean, overweight, slovenly people don't sell. Sex sells, being fit, young, youth, it all sells. But this whole thing with the Sydney Sweeney has good genes, and I think they even put the spelling of the word genes, G-E-N-E, and part of the ads. I mean, it's an interesting ad. It's not just like a poster. There's sort of a video of her talking about it.
Yeah,
and
it
walking
says
around.
she has great genes, spelled Jeans, right?
Yeah, yes, Genes, and then Jean. Well, I mean, they intersperse it, and then of course her cleavage is popping and all that. But of course the media. I don't think for a second that American Eagle couldn't have anticipated this. I think it was brilliant marketing. I think if you have any sort of, there's no way in the world, if you've lived in this world, you couldn't have foreseen this being a media manufactured faux
for sure
outrage. And we're talking about it now because of it. If Sydney Sweeney
this
had been,
is why I say, boy, howdy, did it work. What they were trying to accomplish, they accomplished. They'll take that negative press. They'll take that positive press. They'll take the arguing about it, the defense of it, the attack of it, the whatever. Just get our name right, buddy. Just make sure you understand, ladies and gentlemen, it's American Eagle, baby. That's their deal. That's their goal, and boy, have they achieved it.
There is no doubt about it. I guarantee you 100% that their marketing department knew that this would create a backlash, but nobody would care because that's where the culture is now. And this woman's beautiful, and it's American Eagle. I mean, we're talking about it now. If Sydney Sweeney had been in just a regular ad for American Eagle, I would have never seen it. But we're talking about it now because it's blown up. This has been a brilliant move for them, and these jeans will sell. People are not going to be like, oh, I can't do this because they spell jeans with the G. They're not going to do that. In fact, they're probably going to be more likely to do it because, it's not a bad idea.
Well, and that's the interesting thing. Now, what's fascinating to me is this. Sydney Sweeney is pretty much a liberal, right?
Well, I'm sure she's in her 20s and she's a Hollywood starlet. I don't really know, but I would imagine.
Well, you can look it up. You'll see. She's been tied to liberal causes and stuff in the past and all that kind of stuff. Here's what's interesting. Why are they attacking her now as a liberal? They're eating their own over this kind of stuff now. And the problem is tying it to racist and leaving out the sexual discussion about this. Where are all the Me Too people saying, how dare you, take this to this level? And Sydney, and they're nowhere to be found. They want the sexual, or they want the racist thing to fly. But the sexual thing is probably more important than the racial thing in this regard. I mean, this reminds me of how Walmart used to do a thing a couple of years ago called Ship Your Pants. And they knew full well that would do a similar kind of thing where it would generate controversy. And sadly, that's where we're at in America. You do things that are kind of salacious, over the edge, kind of, shock jockish is what we would say in the radio business or whatever else. And man, that stuff sells and promotes. And sadly, to get attention in this world of just so much stuff, that's what people are resorting to. And if it didn't work, they wouldn't keep doing it, but it's working, so they do keep doing it, right?
Well, I'll tell it. Well, it does, and of course, I'm not offended by this at all. I think it was clever. I think it was fun. Hold on 1 second, Sam. Talk about that for 2 seconds. I forgot to plug in my computer. I got to plug it in before it goes dead. But I want to say something about this. There's one thing I want to hit on this, but I need about 10 seconds.
So Sydney Sweeney basically tied to, in my opinion, some liberal causes. And I'll get some details on that here in a second. But look, she's not a super conservative. She's never been a white supremacist kind of person or whatever else. And it's interesting to me that the liberals are eating their own over this. They say this, okay. Sydney Sweeney hasn't really built a platform around liberal activism on major policy issues. She doesn't frequently endorse political campaigns or movements in the way that you see from typical advocates. However, she has been seen on occasion with more progressive causes. For example, she gave support for Black Lives Matter in 2020. Yeah. I guess in the wake of George Floyd's murder, she publicly posted in solidarity with the Black Lives Movement and shared resources on how people could help,
Well,
That's
I think
very interesting.
A lot of that with Hollywood is a mile wide and an inch deep. Maybe she really believes that. A lot of them are just going to parrot what everybody else is saying because that's what everybody else is doing without giving it much thought. That stuff doesn't really bother me that much. But as far as this ad goes, it's interesting because I have seen countless ads of black women saying, I'm black and beautiful. I mean, the whole thing is based around their racial identity, and never a problem at all. Sydney Sweeney isn't just saying, hey, I'm white and beautiful. She's just saying I've got good genes. And, and it's interesting, too, because there was a football player, a receiver for, I believe it's the Minnesota Vikings, Amon St. Ra, I believe is his name. His father was in the news recently just saying that, we bred him well, saying that his father was an athlete and he, had a child.
Yeah, you can say that if you're black.
Father,
you can't say that if you're white,
was,
buddy.
Exactly. So,
you got blonde hair and blue eyes,
eyes.
don't you dare say that because you're, and that's kind of how the Jews have created a special privilege for themselves, too. Anti-Semitic means, hey, you hate the Jews or you whatever. And the same thing's kind of true about this. They've created this taboo around kind of white people. Now, Sydney has publicly asked fans not to assume her political beliefs based on her family and their views, particularly after her mother's 60th birthday party. It had photos showing guests wearing Blue Lives Matter shirts and MAGA-style caps, etc. So she distanced herself a little bit from her family on that. And she said, hey, this celebration was not meant to be a political statement. Now, she publicly identifies as a Democrat, but details remain limited. So here's the point, James. I think she's been in the liberal camp, but she doesn't want to touch it. And so I think she's being beat up because she's not going wholesale like the rest of them for that agenda. She's trying to stay neutral, trying to say, hey, I don't really want to be drug into the political realm, but yet I'm a Democrat. Yes, I've tied myself to a couple of liberal causes, but I'm trying to stay out of the fray. And now she does this, and they want to attack her because she's not doubling down to murder babies.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, she's probably parroting some things that her peers are saying without giving it too much thought. I don't know. I mean, maybe she is a dyed-in-the-wool liberal. It doesn't matter. But, I mean, for the focuses of this ad, she doesn't seem overly offensive to me in her privite life, and this ad was clever.
Yeah,
it was fun.
James
she looked
likes
great.
the ad. Where's the Me Too?
I love the ad. Well,
James?
there's actually I stuck away. Yeah, I would go buy the jeans. For my wife or something, for my daughter. It was a clever ad. Good for them. I mean, this is what you're supposed to do to stand out. You're supposed to have clever marketing, and there's nothing offensive about it. Selective breeding, people do it with dogs and everything else and realize that, there's something to that, but nevertheless.
Hang tight. Liberty Roundtable Live. I want to talk about the Donald. You can't have a talk show without talking about the Donald, can you? Hang tight.
Never.
pursuing liberty, using the Constitution as our guide. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Last night's strong earthquake that struck Russia's Far East has not generated the devastating tsunami waves that had been feared. As a result, tsunami warnings canceled for California and Hawaii, Japan, and Russia. Correspondent Ben Thomas says this quake is among the strongest in recorded history.
Tsunami warning sirens in Honolulu Tuesday evening, where people sought higher ground after an 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck near Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. Damage and evacuations were reported in Russian regions nearest the epicenter, and the local governor reported the first tsunami hit the main settlement on Russia's Kuril Islands.
New York City police say a gunman who killed 4 people in a Manhattan skyscraper before taking his own life on Monday claimed to suffer a brain disease that's been linked to contact sports. Police say the suspect, who had played high school football at one time, tried to target the NFL's executive offices in the building, however, got on the wrong elevator. A Senate bill would give Americans a piece of the pie, a share of the Trump tariffs windfall.
Senator Josh Hawley has introduced a bill that would provide $600 tariff rebates to nearly all Americans and their dependent children. Hawley said in a statement, "Like President Trump proposed, my legislation would allow hardworking Americans to benefit from the wealth that Trump's tariffs are returning to this country. The legislation would be modeled on the direct payments Congress authorized in the 2020 CARES Act." Bob Agner reporting.
The U.S. economy is on the grow, the gross domestic product expanding at a 3% annual clip April through June, bouncing back from a 0.5% drop in the first quarter. And watching Wall Street this morning, stocks modestly higher. The Dow is up about 10 points. The Nasdaq ahead 34 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-226-5454. That's 800-226-5454. 800-226-5454.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at cspoa.org. That's cspoa.org.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
All right, back with you live. It's James Edwards, thepoliticalcesspool.org, award-winning talk show every Saturday night or on demand at your heart's content, thepoliticalcesspool.org. We're talking about Sydney Sweeney starring in this controversial ad for American Eagle, featuring wordplay on jeans and jeans. Many are saying it's racist. I don't see this at all. I think they're scrambling, but it's done exactly what American Eagle wanted it to do. Pick a hot chick, put her in the pants, have her sell them. Everybody wants a pair. I'm going to play this commercial. You can't see the video, so you can't see Sydney in these jeans with these, poses or whatever. But you can listen to what she says, and here's what's interesting to me. Pardon the pun, it's a stripped-down commercial in many ways. It's very simple. It's just a girl, and she's just talking to, she's almost singling you out in the crowd as her best friend. Listen.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
So simple. So now I'm not really excited about, hey, makes your butt look great and all that. Where are the women, though? Where are the Me Too women? Because, see, that's where it starts if you want to go down that road, right? And I'm not here to go down that road. I'm just saying, very simple commercial, very stripped down, pardon the pun, very, very interesting, very simple. It's not even long. But, boy, are they getting their money's worth on this one, James.
More. This has got to be one of the greatest marketing schemes of all time. And by the way, Liz, please save that clip. During the break, I had so much fun talking about this in the last segment with Sam. I already pretty much had my outline for this weekend's episode of TPC, but I'm adding this into it. I want to cover this then as well. So save that clip.
Spot in the test folder, and James can call for it, and it'll be there and ready and everything else.
But Sam, I was looking up something while that was playing, so I was just going to see what the latest news on this was to see if there's been any apologies or groveling or anything like this. And so here is an article dated 2 hours ago in Parade magazine. American Eagle executive responds to Sydney Sweeney great jeans controversy. So this is relatively breaking news. This is datelined today, July the 30th. And it quotes Ashley Shapiro, who's an executive at the brand, and she said that during a Zoom call with Sydney, we asked the question, how far do you want to push it? And Sydney Sweeney's response was immediate and exactly what we were hoping for. She said, without hesitation, let's push it. I'm game. And our reaction was just as swift. Challenge accepted. And then they basically just said, are sort of mocking all of the frenzy, saying Sydney
which is exactly what they should do, because it's not about the psychotic frenzy. Where in there is really racism? Okay, you can say, well, it's her blonde hair and it's her blue eyes. That's the way God made her. Leave her alone, for heck's sakes. Well, it's having a white person in a commercial. See, what if a black person? What if a black actress did this exact thing and she's like, hey, look at my butt in these jeans and da-da-da-da-da. Where would we be going now with that, James?
Well, I will tell you exactly. And just one more thing about the executive. She said that Sydney Sweeney has great jeans, and so can you, for $49.99 or whatever. but or however much they cost. They're probably like $150 now. I can't clothes or like furniture and real estate and everything else. It's just, but yeah, if you can afford them. But no, okay. Well, you ask a good question, Sam. Let's just say Beyonce or Rihanna or one of these attractive black women who's, a major star, had done the exact same commercial with the exact same script, everybody would just be falling all over themselves. Oh, did you see how good they looked? Oh, what a great ad. Oh, this is yeah, it would have been no controversy whatsoever had it been anyone else except for a beautiful white woman or,
So I have a challenge for
man.
the black community, though, James. They have this habit. You can't wear blackface. That would be horrible. I mean, that would be racist to the core. How dare you? Don't even think about it. If you've done it 20 years ago in college, you're going down over it, okay? Kind of an attitude. However, they have no problem with blacks playing white characters. I mean, take Cinderella or whatever else. They've got black versions of it, right? You follow me?
Yeah, of course.
You seen those?
Yes, yeah.
Every
yes,
movie now is made with a black lead that takes the place of the white lead that was originally the character or whatever. So I would challenge a black woman to do a Sydney Sweeney commercial for American Eagle. And they could do a black version, James.
No, there you go. Hey, listen,
Just
that's something.
Let them do a black version. Come on.
Then you get to
You
cash
wanna do that
in
with all
on
the
it
movies?
twice.
Hold on, you want to do that with all the movies on the planet? We're not allowed to wear blackface, but you can go ahead and take a white woman role and have a black person play that role. That's not whiteface, but because you're not dressing up, but you're changing the race of the character. All you got to do now is do a black version, and then everybody will shut up, James.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for a movie where Martin Luther King's played by Jeremy Irons or something like that. But
No, it can't go the other way, dude. That's what I'm talking about. So you can't do that. It's okay for black people to, take the place of white people, but white people can't take the place of black people, or white people can't even exist in their own, pardon the pun, genes, James.
Well, hey, I haven't seen, you can look for it. I mean, we can look a little further, but I haven't seen one statement from Sydney Sweeney or American Eagle where they've apologized, backtracked, groveled, or anything else.
Let me just throw down, I've just become a self-appointed American Eagle advisor. As you know, I'm a self-appointed Trump advisor too, so I'm throwing it out, baby. I'm telling you right now, Sydney and American Eagle, stand your ground. I don't like the sexualization of this necessarily, but I will say, hey, when you make this focus, don't fall for their lies. Just double down and just mock them and just say, you guys keep talking about our commercial, please. The more you talk, the better it gets for us. Pretty soon you're going to find these pants on sale for eBay for outrageous prices because you won't be able to get them, James. That's what they've created with this.
Yes,
really the liberals who want to claim they hate everybody, they're the ones that have caused this, James.
Well, you're right, and you're also right about the other. I mean, these things are going to be such a, I want the jeans. I'm wearing the jeans that were part of that huge controversy. People love controversy, by the way. It's not going the way it used to. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, we were talking about this earlier in the show. I think American Eagle would have backtracked, backpedaled, apologized. It says right here, more is more. This campaign is a more is more proposition. It's a massive, multifaceted takeover of culture, including a playful stunt to reveal the genius pun behind the word jeans. But again, this whole thing, I was saying it right before the break, trying to slip it in. People pay. It's ridiculous. It's offensive. It's outlandish, but they do it. Thousands of dollars for dogs just because they were bred with certain papers and they know the purity of their ancestry or whatever. How do you get a championship horse? You breed it, but it's somewhat totally offensive to say that with people you could also selectively engage in reproductive strategies that capture certain traits and looks. I mean, of course you could do that. I don't even understand this whole thing with eugenics. I mean, everybody should have a right to reproduce, I guess, but if you want to choose to mate with people that are going to give your offspring a better chance of having these certain characteristics, I mean, you can certainly do that. I don't even see what's controversial about that at all. It's just makes sense. It works for everything
at what
else.
Point are you playing God? And that's true when it comes to dogs and everything else, for that matter. And with the meddling, what downstream effects does it have? And there's a fair discussion to be had about that. But here's my question. Who's praising Sydney for at least having clothes on? She's got jeans on, buddy. Now we're criticizing her? Everybody else wants to run around naked and half undressed and everything else, and they're fine. At least she's, fully dressed. Well, you're never fully dressed without a smile, James. And so, just saying, at least she's got pants on, buddy.
Hey, folks, I mean, I wonder how many pairs of jeans we've sold in the last 30 minutes, but But, folks, go look at you. I just got to say, you really need to see it for yourself. So go look it up. I mean, she's got this tight little denim top on with the, of course, the denim jeans as well. And, you heard the voice. I mean, that voice matched the, that voice matched
perfectly.
the.
It's a very stripped down commercial for the most part. It's very simple.
But I mean, she's got that
a bunch
fun
of whip
voice
bangs, effects, and everything else. She's got that voice like she's talking to her neighbor, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a great. I mean, as somebody who you and I both work in broadcast media, I had not actually watched the ad. I had seen the pictures and I had read the script, so I knew what we were talking about. I had not actually heard her voice on that ad until you played it a few minutes ago. And that voice is it's flirty, it's feminine, it's delicate, it's perfect. I mean, it's just a perfect
soft.
ad.
It makes you feel like you're her best friend. It's, and hey, she's dressed. Now you can say, well, hey, she's promoting the sexualization. Yeah, where's the Me Too movement? I keep asking that, but, they're nowhere to be found. The other thing I find interesting is this. This is standard marketing. I've got a great headline for you. I better not share it with everybody, James. If I share it with everybody go ballistic. I better not share it. What's your natural reaction? Well, now that you brought it up, you got to share it, Sam, right? Hang tight.
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began. Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. So what I've just done is, whenever you say, you bring something up, and then you're like, oh, I better not tell you that story. I've just decided I'm not going to tell you the story, And then everybody's like, wait a minute, you've already started. You got to tell it to us now. That's exactly what she does in this commercial. She starts out and she's like, hey, I'm not telling you to buy jeans or anything like that. So you're going, what? Wait a minute, where do I get these things? And it's classic. Simple advertising. Just tease them a little bit, and then you're not going to share the rest with them. And then it's kind of like, well, if you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to get in the way. Anyway, very, very classic, simple, powerful advertising. Well, here's the headline that I have for you. Donald Trump says the only question left is who will go first. This is fascinating. Trump makes prediction on next famous TV stars to get fired. Yeah, they say Donald's responsible for getting, what's that guy's name? Stephen Colbert fired or whatever.
Yeah.
And Trump says, no, can't blame that on me. Didn't do it. I wasn't responsible for that. And President Trump is now making predictions on who's getting fired next. I find this fascinating, James. Next up, he says, will be even less talented Jimmy Kimmel. And then the very weak and insecure Jimmy Fallon. Trump also noted everybody's saying I got Colbert fired. No, not me. The reason he was fired was a pure lack of talent. And the fact that this deficiency was causing this CBS $50 million a year, and it was only getting worse. And then Donald Trump breaks it down and explains it. He says, show business is a really simple business. If you get ratings, you can say or do anything you want to. If you don't, you'll always become a victim. Meanwhile, the protest of CBS in support of Stephen Colbert happened. Yeah, they were in New York City. They only got 20 people. Did you hear me? A protest in New York City backing this Stephen Colbert as if he's some rock star, popular, important person. He only got 20 people. Listen to this soundbite, and then we'll talk about this, James.
Late night host Stephen Colbert drawing less than 24 people yesterday afternoon in New York City. Organizers say the protest was supposed to be a nationwide call for integrity after the Late Show was canceled. It comes as former Tonight Show host Jay Leno criticized fellow late night comedians for alienating half their audience with politics.
I like to think that people come to a comedy show to kind of get away from the things, the pressures of life, wherever it might be. And I love political humor, don't get me wrong, but it's just what happens is people wind up cozying too much to one side or the other. Why shoot for just half an audience all the time,
There you have it. Anyway, I find that very fascinating indeed. This guy's supposed to be a rock star. Stephen Colbert, big night host, paid big money, costing him $50 million a year to run this sucker. And then he basically gets fired, and their protest that's supposed to be nationwide, James, gets 20 people in New York. That's all it got. So, I've told you back in the day, whenever we talk about some of these hosts, I'm like, hey, we got better ratings than those guys. That's proof in the pudding, buddy.
Exactly, and I guarantee you the 20 people that were protesting were his staff and crew. But every time you mention something, there's always a tie-in after all these years. So Jimmy Kimmel, who you mentioned, is one of the so-called late-night comedians, and we'll talk about that in just about 10 seconds. But Jimmy Kimmel had done a skit on TPC. I mean, there's a tie-in to the work of this network and its various personalities just about anywhere you turn. We had interviewed Mel Gibson's father, Hutton, one of the times we interviewed him. I mean, it just went everywhere. And Jimmy Kimmel had actually done a stunt or a skit live during his show that took audio from the program and played it. And then now, every time I even read an article,
sued him for using our audio,
Yeah, we didn't get any royalties for that, but any buyout. And in fact, I was reading a Wall Street Journal article a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh yeah, they've done a hit piece on it. This particular author, New York Times. About 20% of the time, if I'm reading an article, it's written by somebody who's attacked me or you in the past. But this thing with Stephen Colbert is, I'm glad to see him fired. I hope more of them get fired. This whole thing, the late night comedy shows, The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, they used to be somewhat funny, but Colbert is really one of the worst. I mean, and Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon aren't much better, and when they're on politics, they're every bit as bad. But you watch these so-called late night comedy shows now, it's supposed to be funny, right? I mean, used to you could have, hot, edgy takes on anybody, blacks, whites, homosexuals. You could kind of make fun of anybody in an endearing, good-natured way, and
because if it was
laughs.
unique and had a grain of reality in it and everything else, it was comical because it made sense, right?
And it's something people could relate to. It's self-deprecating. That's funny. That's comedy. But I mean, comedy has been so sanitized and made unfunny in the last 15, 20 years. It's sanitized network so-called comedy. But I mean, now Stephen Colbert, he was truly the worst. I mean, it was supposed to be a comedy show, news and culture, and they would talk about current events, but it was a comedy show. They would do interviews. It was supposed to be funny, like Jay Leno was funny. And all Stephen Colbert would do from the beginning to the end of his show, it was just mean-spirited, angry rants like you would see Rachel Maddow deliver on MSNBC, and that's supposed to be comedy. I'm like, this is called a late-night comedy show. But
Rachel get the axe too, James?
Well, they took her show down from nightly to, they took her show down from, nightly, Monday through Friday, to once a week, but they quadrupled her pay. So,
Yeah.
you can do the
So
math
there
on
you go,
that.
man.
But this
Well,
stuff
the bottom
with
line is
Colbert,
hold on. They had a contract they couldn't deal with, and that was their way of dealing with it. Let's shut her up, but let's give her plenty of money. We have plenty of money. We don't care. Let's get her off the air because it's
That
doing
must have
us a
been
lot
what
of
it was.
damage.
Yeah.
Is the bottom line, right?
she got a raise to work 4 times as little. But
Now, by the way,
yeah,
if they
but
give me a
Colbert,
raise to be off the air more, that won't happen, James.
yeah, I love it too much. I mean, what would we do? This is the life we've chosen, as they said in The Godfather. But but Colbert, I mean, these late night angry, everything is just anti-Trump. I mean, I can get that on any news broadcast. Why would people tune into a comedy show late night, try to relax before bed, and it's just angry, mean-spirited, anti-Trump, anti-Republican, grassroots, decent people hate. That's all these shows are. I hope they all go. Good. I'm glad if Trump did have a hand in getting him fired, good.
Yeah, there you go, folks. Anyway, I just find it interesting that a protest in New York City, of all places, for this, Colbert guy, 20 people. James, I find that just very interesting. It really trashed Kamala Harris whenever she'd go somewhere. She'd get no support. Whenever Joe Biden would go, venture out of the basement on occasion, no support, no support, no support. You're seeing this everywhere. And I've maintained, hey, some of these people act like they're rock stars and they get paid plenty of money. I get it. But that's not what the people want to hear. The people want to hear what we have to say, which is we're not interested in partisan politics. We're interested in standing up on principle for what's right every time to the best of our ability. And if it's wrong, we're going to stand against it to the best of our ability. So I'm going to tease you with this headline, and then we'll talk about it coming out of the next segment, second hour. Joe Rogan criticized the Trump administration and its lack of transparency over the Jeffrey Epstein case on his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. I guess it was July 25th that he kind of covered this or whatever, and he was pretty critical. Rogan showed disappointment about the promises to drain the swamp. He says the promises, meaning, have not been fulfilled, especially with regards to the Epstein investigation. A recent Reuters Ipsos poll shows 69% of Americans believe the federal government is hiding details regarding the Epstein clients. Other conservative figures in the media have been speaking out. James and I are 2 of them. James?
Well, what do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about Epstein?
Well, you can just give a little headline on this thing. Hey, Joe Rogan's literally doubling down on criticizing Trump. I don't want to have a criticize Trump bash, but I will say truth tellers are starting to stand up everywhere.
Well, he certainly boxed himself into a corner by promising, of course, the release of these things as a huge campaign promise, and then Pam Bondi says, "Oh, I've seen them; they're on my desk," and then it comes to they don't exist at all. So.
But now you got Ghislaine basically being debriefed by this same group in secret quarters saying, now I've got 100+ names. So release the list.
Well, exactly. But, I mean, so what happened? I mean, so the question is, was Trump always in on it? Was he just a pawn? Is he completely bought and paid for? Or was there something in there that genuinely scared him? I would say it was something like this. If you really want to get honest, I would say that if I'm just guessing, Trump doesn't want to release the files because too many Republicans and large Republican donors are on the list. The Republican voters are more likely to turn their backs on reprobates than the Democrats are. And so I'm just guessing here. I don't think Trump is on the list. Certainly not a pedophile in my opinion. But I think Trump has come to the conclusion, the realization that if he releases these files, it's going to ruin the attainment of his agenda. I just think that's it, and that's the simplest answer. No great grand conspiracy.
I agree 100%, but when you double down with promises like that, you've got to keep them. And if it takes down a few key Republicans because they deserve it, so be it. My question is, forget about Jeff and how he died. Forget about, a lot of this. But here's my question. Is that drug pedophile ring, that criminal ring, continuing just because Jeff went away? I mean, did it just die on the vine, or did another crime boss take his place? The question is, what crimes are happening now? And I don't think that's something that we should let go of. All right, hour one in the can, hour two coming up. We got a lot to discuss, man. Some pretty cool stuff in the news. Joe Rogan criticizing the Trump administration. That's something, ain't it? I wonder if Trump will ever go back on Joe's show. What do you think?